Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jennifer Hughes, and I'm the Associate Director of Program Quality Assurance at NAMI New Jersey. Welcome to NAMI New Jersey's 2023 Multicultural Conversations webinar series. NAMI New Jersey is committed to serving New Jersey's most diverse communities. We represent the interests of people all affected by mental illness, regardless of their age, gender, race, national origin, religion, ability, language, economic status, sexual orientation, or gender identity. With these conversations, we aim to bring more awareness to the relationship between mental health and culture. In today's conversation about self-care, you will hear about how different cultures practice self-care differently. We will discuss how culture influences self-care. Program directors and colleagues will be sharing favorite self-care activities, discussing the importance of self-care and how it improves our physical and mental health. Our multicultural program leaders will be joining us today. Melanie Walker serves New Jersey's African-American community through African-American Mental Health Outreach, or ACNOW. Suba Bolasetti serves the South Asian community through the South Asian Mental Health Awareness Program in New Jersey, SAMHAJ. And last but not least, Nelly Barrero serves New Jersey's Latino and Hispanic community through NAMI New Jersey en Espanol. We will be missing our wonderful coordinator, Hugh Lloyd Chang, who serves the Asian American community through the Chinese American Mental Health Outreach Program, also known as CAMHOP, but we will definitely contribute some of the Chinese culture self-care strategies that are used today. Through a discussion and Q&A, which support our efforts to provide mental health education and support to diverse communities throughout New Jersey. You could read full bios of our speakers on our website. We hope this conversation will bring more awareness to the relationship between mental health and culture. Before we start, I want to go over a couple of housekeeping items. This webinar will be recorded and later available on the NAMI New Jersey website and on YouTube, along with resources. Participants will not be shown or recorded. If you have any questions or comments, please put them in the Q&A box. You can also use the chat box to provide any comments or feedback throughout the webinar. We will not be using the raise hand feature for this webinar, and we will try to answer as many questions as possible. We don't provide CEUs or certificates of completion for attending this webinar. At the end of the webinar, you will be directed to a short survey. We appreciate your feedback. All right, let's get ready to start. I would like to welcome our program coordinators to the conversation. Hello, hello, hello. How's everyone doing today?
Pretty good. How about you, Jen?
Good, good.
Doing
Awesome.
good.
Okay, bear with me 1 second. Hello, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us today. So we're going to start off. I would like each of you to introduce yourselves, tell us about your program a little bit, and then we'll begin to talk about self-care. Melanie, let's start with you.
Okay. Hi, I'm Melanie Walker. I'm from the ACNOW program, which is African American Community Together Now. We're an African American initiative from NAMI. We have support groups. We do outreaches. We actually have our first family to family class this spring. We just do a lot of outreaches. We have support groups. We deal with the faith-based community. We go out in the community just to talk about fighting stigma, teaching about different illnesses and how it impacts our community. So that's overall what ACNOW is.
Thanks so much, Melanie. Nelly, how about you?
Thank you, Jen. Thank you, Melanie. All right, so good afternoon. My name is Nelly Barreiro. I'm the program coordinator from NAMI New Jersey en Español, as Jen mentioned. So NAMI en Español has been serving to the Hispanic community for 24 years and provides support, education, and advocacy for families affected by mental illness in their own language. As Melanie mentioned, also we do outreaches, we do our overview PowerPoint presentation, and also we have our signature program, the following by the NAMI Family to Family Education Program, which is an 8-week program consisting in a 2.5-hour class a week to family and caregivers or adults with mental illness. NAMI en Español is additionally offering these courses online in the spring and fall 2023. And we offer also self-support groups online every second Tuesday of the month from 7 to 8:30 p.m. via Zoom, and all participants need to be registered before. So we have also NAMI Connection, is another recovery support group for adults living with mental health issues. And also we offer this support in the third Thursday of every month from 7 to 8:30 p.m. via Zoom, and all participants need to be registered before too. And then we have in our own voice. In our own voice presentation, es en nuestra propia voz, is a NAMI speaker program for community education to reduce the stigma by putting a human face on a often this misunderstood area of human suffering. Additionally, we are offering Sharing Hope, Compartiendo Esperanza program, which is a 3-part video series that explore the mental wellness journey in Hispanic Latino communities through dialogue, storytelling, and guided discussion. And with great enthusiasm, I would like to share that very soon we will have a new program, which is Ending the Silence, Terminando el Silencio. There will be more information to come in our website. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Nelly. Suba, let's hear about Samhaj.
Thank you, Jen. I'm so excited and looking forward to learning from my colleagues the cultural commonalities and differences when it comes to self-care. Namaste, everyone. My name is Suba Balisetti. I am statewide coordinator for NAMI New Jersey's South Asian Multicultural Program Summit, South Asian Mental Health Awareness of Jersey. Just like other multicultural programs, we also provide support for families and individuals affected by mental illness through support groups. And we also have a referrals to bilingual and cultural competent mental health services. We offer a supportive environment to help individuals and their families to learn to navigate the often complicated mental health system. Our South Asian staff and volunteers speak various South Asian languages. If we don't have somebody who speaks a particular language, we try to find volunteers who can and try to connect with them. And we also bring workshops and presentations on topics that are important to our members in their journey towards recovery. And we also bring presentations to schools through Ending the Silence program, and also for mental health providers and other social service agencies to learn more about the rapidly growing South Asian community in New Jersey in order to provide that culturally competent services. And to add to that, Samaj means understanding. And if we change the pronunciation a little bit to Samhaj, it becomes community. So we want to have a Samaj, understanding community around us. And here at Samaj and NAMI New Jersey, we are tirelessly working towards Samaj by providing all these resources and services to bring awareness and to remove the stigma and taboo associated with the mental illness. Thank you. And I'm glad you all are here today.
Thank you so much. And I will talk a little bit about our CAMHOP program, which is the Chinese American Mental Health Outreach Program. They offer a family support group, connection recovery support group, both available in Mandarin, as well as the family to family classes available in Mandarin. We will be providing more information on these classes in the upcoming year that we'll be offering. And, you know, our commitment is the same as all of the other programs and providing the culturally competent services and providing a safe space for the Chinese American community. So that being said, I want to start our conversation a little bit more, switch gears, right? Let's talk about self-care. So why is self-care important? Why are we talking about self-care today? because we all, I know at least in our coordinators here, right? We're in the helping profession. So in order for us to take care of others, we have to take care of ourselves, right? And we all have different ways that we take care of ourselves. So what I want to do is I want to talk a little bit about what your favorite self-care activity is and why you find self-care important. And we'll go around a little bit and then I'll share a little bit about myself too. So let's start with Nelly. Why is self-care important to you? And what's your favorite activity?
Okay, so thank you, Jen. For me, the self-care is important because, according to the World Health Organization, self-care is the ability of individuals, family, and community to promote health, prevent disease, maintain health, and to cope with illness and disability with or without the support of health worker. And my favorite routine of self-care activity is going to bed at the same time every day, as well as doing mindfulness activities like meditation, yoga, Zumba classes, walking my dog, drinking my favorite tea in the morning, and being grateful for my new day, and doing affirmation every morning or when I need it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So Suba, let's hear from you.
Oh, I see. I'm trying to press unmute. We are so used to the Zoom calls nowadays when your turn comes, unmute. So Nelly explained very well about the self-care, and Jen, you both explained already. So I'm going to share my self-care activity, favorite self-care activity. Oh my goodness, there are so many. Which one to start with? So I'm kind of very flexible when it comes to self-care, depends on the situation I'm in. I try to incorporate self-care into it. So, but if you ask me what is my most favorite self-care activity, it's sitting on a beach, putting my toes in the sand, and then just playing around. That feeling, it makes me so relaxed and happy. And also I love playing games and chatting and hanging out with my friends and family. It gives me a lot of positive energy. And there is one that is really toughest self-care activity that I'm actually trying to practice. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It is shredding that extra emotional baggage, getting rid of that baggage. So thanks to my husband and kids, they make sure I'm getting my me time, and also they help me in getting rid of some of that extra baggage and letting go of the things so that I feel better, so I can actually help others in the family and outside. So that's about my self-care.
That's awesome. I love that your family helps you prioritize your me time. That's so important. Melanie, how about you? What's your favorite activity or routine?
Okay. Yeah, self-care is important because it always seems like we're getting pulled in so many different directions, and it's very important to kind of fill back into us. So for me, I like to just go for walks. So I'll just go out the side, walk around the neighborhood or something. And then, there'll be another time where I'm walking by the river or I'm hiking a mountain or something like that. So it's different ways to get a different background for that particular self-care. Also for self-care, I like to garden and I like to cook as well. So for me, putting that first seed in the ground, smelling the dirt and get my fingers all dirty and having everybody else help me. And then, to get the fruits of my labor and then being able to put it in my pot or something like that. And just to see that process from seed to a meal, and then just being able to have people around to talk. And that's where we get a good idea. Like if somebody's having a hard day or something, as we're cooking, we're just talking about stuff and gather around the table, saying different things like, oh, well, how was your day? What was your favorite part of the day? What was your least part of the day? So it gives us a chance to, be able to converse with people. Also like to do like a lot of journaling, and I like to use like these type of books, like the coloring and stuff like that. It just gives it, you know, to be able to have the smell of the crayons or the smell of the markers and stuff, and the paper texture and stuff. So that's a lot of like sensory type of stuff for me that helps me have my self care. So that's a little bit of that.
Awesome. So gardening, coloring, spending time with your family, great self-care activities. And I want to encourage our audience, our participants. Can you write some of your favorite self-care activities in the chat? We'd love to hear from you about what your favorite activities are. And me, I love napping, spending time outside, getting my nails done. And I really, really try to take at least one nap on the weekend. It's really hard, but I'm like, you have to do it, Jen. It is so important. Sleep helps me so much with my self-care. So, and a couple of our other staff members, they talked about their self-care. They like working out, eating something sweet, watching TV, yoga, painting and crafts. So it sounds like we have a lot in common. Let's see if the audience has anything to say too. Strengthening exercises. Yes. Awesome. Music, dancing. Love it. Thank you guys so much. Getting massages, I see here from some of our staff, is a big one. Spending time with family, working in the garden. There you go, Melanie. Someone else who likes the garden. Awesome. All right. So everyone, it sounds like, has some really good self-care activities, and they have a favorite, right? Okay. So let's talk a little bit and switch gears and talk about culture, right? So like I said in the beginning, self-care can look different in different cultures. So I want to hear from you guys how culture influences your self-care, or if you can speak about your culture in general and how it influences self-care. So let's start with Suba.
Thanks, Jen. Yes, culture definitely influences self-care. The beliefs, cultural beliefs like traditional gender roles and social norms, these are some of the influencers for sure. In South Asian culture, in most of the families, you cannot separate me from us or family. It's a collective culture. So if you do something for yourself, then it might seem like you're selfish and you're not caring for others, or you're not fulfilling your duty. But slowly people are realizing that the burnout is there, and focusing on self-care with meditation, yoga, and other traditional practices as the times are changing and awareness is growing about self-care. But in many cases, the expectations are that we always have to focus on others' well-being. So when it comes to women, it is a lot more visible in South Asian families. Most of the time when women come home from work, even though the woman is working equally alongside of the men, they end up cooking, cleaning, taking care of the family, all those chores. So that is most of the time is a social norm. And the gender role that also comes into the equation. So when we are spending all our energy taking care of others and have no time for ourselves, we are basically neglecting ourselves, our health, and the result is emotionally we are exhausted, tired, and as we all know, mind-body connection, we start having physical health issues along with emotional stressors related to the burnout. Let me give you an example. I'm not generalizing, but I do see in some of the families, when woman is traveling, until the time they step out of the house, they are doing something or the other. They're cleaning the house, they're cooking and putting the food in the fridge, they're making sure all the kids' activities are planned and appointments are done, and the laundry is done. And everybody is going to be happy when the woman of the house or the person whoever is the caregiver, their primary caregiver, going for however long they are going out of town. So they want to make sure the whole family is happy and they can go without her or him, whoever is the primary caregiver. So, and also calling the neighbors and friends, letting them know this person is going to be out of town so that they can jump in if they need help. So this is something that we do see normally, but in South Asian culture where there are these traditional gender roles are practiced, you do see more when woman is going out, all these things need to be done. But when the man is traveling, I'm not sure. So this happens in some of the families. So that is where everybody in the family has to chip in and work together, support each other to make sure that we are taking care of self-care. We are paying attention to self-care. And in some instances, our culture puts women who sacrificed their time, well-being, and whatever on a pedestal, and who takes care of themselves and are trying to be happy as arrogant. So these notions are changing, but in some South Asian families, it is still same. So that's a cultural point of view.
Thanks, Suba. Now you're Melanie, you want to jump in and talk a little
Yes.
bit?
Thank you. I totally agree with Suba when she mentioned it's not selfish. Self-care is not selfish. It's giving yourself the permission to take a pause, as Jen gave us an example. Jen, go and make a nap. See? So it's not a selfish. Taking yourself time to take a pause. Remember that. All right. So one of the most important activity for me, because my culture, is to dance and listen to happy music. And when doing this, I love to converse or catch up with closet friends, as well as share different recipes from our cultures, read books, and share our ideas about them, and organize karaoke soirees too. I admire women who get up every day to face their day-to-day struggles. I admire those women who dare to fight against their thought every day, who despite living with a mental health diagnosis and decide to continue with their life and confront her fears and difficult situations that at the end of the day rebuild her and make her a powerful woman, a warrior and capable of continuing with her goal, capable of continuing with her life. In Hispanic culture, self-care, for example, as a woman, consists in prioritizing everyone else before yourself. First, you take care of your children, then your husband, then your parents, if you live with them. And by the time the woman decides to take care of herself, there is no time. So that's why today I would like to invite you to take care of yourself. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I hear similarities, right, with Nelly and Suba talking about that. And I wanted to mention in the Chinese culture, you know, our coordinator provided some input that they don't really talk a lot about self-care in their culture, in the Chinese culture. And there is emphasis on family and community, which I know Suba mentioned that as well. But they have to put others before their own interests, right? Depending on where they're raised, sometimes people feel there's a generational gap where it's not talked about openly, and younger people don't feel inclined or vulnerable about what they're going through, right? So they don't want to talk about it. There's a big stigma. And this can be due to the older generation's experience of their need to survive, and doing outward acts of service. So, that's something that sounds like it's similar across, the cultures we heard so far with Hispanic and South Asian. Melanie, how about you? How about in the African American community?
Yeah, it's a lot of similarities across the board. Like if the woman's leaving, it's the cooking, the cleaning, the getting the clothes together, the activities together right before we're supposed to leave. And then, everybody will be able to pick up after we're gone. And just the similarities with, I think, generation wise as well. Like it seems like the older generation is, okay, we're supposed to be, resilient. We're supposed to be the strong Black woman, and we're supposed to, not really complain that much, but just keep pushing on. And then it seems like now I see the difference in the generation is now we actually have words to be able to say, yes, I am actually tired. Yes, I am being able to take this self-care. So I think those similarities are very well. And I think also when we're talking about it, we have come from such, struggles in like hundreds of years ago, but also we've kept that level of joy. And it's like you were saying, like the dancing and the singing and stuff. And so a lot of times when we're actually going through stuff, we're dancing our way through it. We're singing our way through it. And just being able to put words to things. I think that's what's helping us a lot now in our community, because before it would be like, okay, you're going through this, but don't say anything. We want to make sure that, you want to put that strong face up. So I think it's changing, but it's just good that we're able to just, go from struggles to joy. And I think that's where we are right now. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, and I can relate too, like as a woman, right? And I know some of our staff talked about this too, as, as they were reflecting on their self-care and within their culture, we're expected to, take care of the kids, cook and do everything. And then take care of ourselves, right? A lot of the responsibilities fall on us. So, I mean, for me, right, I work full time, I take care of my kids, I cook dinner, I clean. And then I'm like, okay, I'm so exhausted that I need to go to bed at 8:30, 9 o'clock at night, because I need the sleep to be able to reset for the next day to do it, right? So that's why I know sometimes I will just take a Saturday morning and go get my nails done by myself just to have that time for me, similar to, what all of you are saying, that me time. And it's talked about more. And not only is it talked about more, it's allowed more, right? We're allowing ourselves to take it, and society's allowing us to take it a little more. A little more is the key word that I'm feeling. But do you guys have anything else to add in that area?
As you said, we women is doing a lot more, right? So we are the pillars basically for the family as well as the society. So for us to be stronger, we have to make sure we are avoiding burnout. So that means we all have to do something for ourselves. Yeah, it is difficult sometimes, but incorporating in whatever we are doing. It can be brushing our hair or just sitting in the car. One of the things that I generally do is when I drive my son from appointments or anything, I don't come inside the house. I just sit in the garage, in the car. My seats are warm. I just sit there until it cools down and then walk inside. That 1 or 2 minutes, that's good enough sometimes to go with the next few hours of the day. So these are simple things. So whenever, wherever, like even in the car, when you are driving, just to focus on driving for sure, and also listening to one instrument in the music that's coming, or turn on to one of those comedy channels so you can listen to the jokes, laugh and drive. So things like that to help out every minute, every time, like we are doing something, just incorporating things like that. Teeny tiny things to help us out if we don't have much time.
Absolutely. Mindfulness, right? Staying in the present, trying to be mindful of the moment that you're in.
Yeah.
Takes a lot of practice. That's what I'm hearing from all of you too. Takes a lot of practice. So when we're talking about self-care, right, we talked about our favorite activities, how culture influences our self-care. What are some things that are stopping you guys from taking care of yourselves? Or what have you heard also within your programs, right, from your program participants? What is stopping them from engaging in more self-care? Melanie, how about you?
I know for me and hearing, other people when they're in groups and everything, it's the fact that it's the time, just being mindful enough to set aside the time. Some of our participants are in the sandwich generation, like, they have elderly parents to take care of or relatives, and then they have, little kids to actually take care of. So I think that's what happens a lot is just being the time to be able to do it. A lot of times forgetting to actually take self-care. I think also what happens is that sometimes I don't even think we have sometimes the words to be able to figure out exactly, oh, okay, I'm feeling this way. There was something that I was looking up as I was preparing for this, and it's like, sometimes you have to ask yourself questions like, do you need a break or something? And, do you want to check in with somebody? Is it something as serious as this as to go to therapy and stuff? So that's what kind of gets in the way too, is like stigmatizing, saying, okay, I can help myself, but then realizing that the issue that you're dealing with can be a little bit more serious than self-help. So then you have to go out to somewhere else, like a therapist or something. So I think that's where we get stuck a lot of times, is that we don't know exactly the extent of how we can have our self-care. Is it something that's minor or major? So I think that's what happens a lot of times in general.
Yeah, absolutely. Time, right? Time's huge. Go ahead, Suba.
And we need to remember and remind ourselves that just like in the flights, they tell us, okay, put your oxygen mask before you put on others, right? We need to remind ourselves, we have to take care of ourselves in order to help our loved one or something that we are working on, right? It's not just the person. There are like, we do a lot of support groups and we are helping other people. Even to that, we need to have that energy so that we are ready to help others. So that's one thing. And in my personal case, stressors and urgent priorities at times come in my way of self-care, but we try to incorporate whichever way we can as a family and also as an individual. So most of you know, I'm a primary caregiver to my son who has complex physical and mental health issues and other challenges. So there are times it's very, very difficult to spare even few minutes. It might be the car or it might be home. Those are the times. These are unexpected situations also. It happens, life happens, right? So I am running around, doing this, doing that, I can't. But that is where your team, the family and your care team, that helps. So, and with the challenges that we went through with our son, our family knows life is short and we have to live every moment to the fullest. So we take and we learn to take every opportunity. It can be a minute or a day or 10 days. So we learn that very fast, actually. We need to take even that second that you have to help us avoid the burnout. So in our family situation, we work as a team, but as an individual, I don't think I can do what I'm able to do right now. So the biggest thing that stops in the self-care activity is the unexpected situations.
Thank you. So I agree with you guys about what stops us is the time, right? So I would like to share with you that since I'm working with NAMI and we began to offer support groups, we have an analogy of the oxygen mask on the plane that Suba was talking about. So at first, it was unanimous that if placed in this scenario, they will first give it to their children or their loved one. Now, after 4 years of doing this wonderful job at NAMI, we asked them the same question, and they answered that they will put on it first. Having said that, I think that our care depends on education, systems, and then the most important, which is habits, right? So let's better organize it our time. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, I really liked how you said your group said they would put it on first, right? That means that prioritizing self-care is becoming more common, which is really, really great to hear, especially for caregivers. You all talked about being a caregiver and also, you know, struggling with the dynamics of balance and family and work and the unknown circumstances that come up. I see that our staff member, our deputy director, Laura, she put being everyone's go-to person makes it hard to make time for yourself, right? And that is, I think you all spoke about that a little bit, is being that go-to person, always the person that's needed can be challenging and get in the way. And that's what a lot of our staff members are saying is, you know, really having so many responsibilities, having, you know, they rely on you, everyone, your family, your children. And if you're a caregiver, right, could be even more. I remember in a webinar we did recently, we talked about the amount of hours that a caregiver spends caregiving. And it was close to 35 hours a week, which is a full-time job. And everyone else is also, you know, not only caregiving, but trying to take care of themselves and working and taking care of maybe other children that are not suffering from a mental health condition. So there's a lot of things that can get in the way. So thank you guys for talking a little bit about your activities, your culture. I wanted to talk a little bit to see if you guys had any like closing, you know, remarks before we move to Q&A. I know we do have a couple questions, so I want to encourage our audience to please put any questions in the Q&A, comments, questions about self-care. You know, do you guys have any closing statements or anything that you can give advice or support to our audience about self-care and how we can continue to promote it and get everyone taking care of themselves? What do you guys think?
I want to add something that before, like 20 years ago, I didn't know it's a part of self-care. But as I'm also evolving, learned, oh, this is self-care. And also teaching others how to like have that me time kind of thing. Back home, whenever you go for a haircut, you don't even ask. They do scalp massage and they do shoulder massage. For us, it's part of haircut, that's it. But we never thought of it. They will be talking and you feel so relaxed. So that is actually one of the activity. And the other thing, I think it started right before it. So 1990s, I think, laugh therapy. Or it's also a self-care activity where some people, they get together at a park or somewhere outdoors so they can enjoy that nature, and then they just start laughing. So when you laugh like that, the happy hormones are going to, it makes you feel better more, right? It releases those happy hormones and all that. So that is one thing that became very popular recently when I went to India. where we stayed right next to it, there was a park, and you could hear these people laughing. I'm like, oh my God, that feels so good. And a lot of people do yoga, meditation, all that. You could see people doing it in open air nowadays, which is good. And close to where we are, there is a park, and we saw the other day when the weather is good, they're doing Tai Chi. So the flow was so nice to see. So these are all like self-care activities that I am seeing. And every support group, one question I ask all the members that are there is, what is one thing you do for yourself this week? What is one thing you are going to do before we meet up for the support group? And most of the time I hear walking or watching something without any disturbance on the TV, or listening to music, hiking. These are some of the things we are hearing in our support groups.
Because we are talking about our self-care, I would like to share a self-care activity that we have at NAMI, New Jersey. Participate in very often. Due to the diversity in our staff, we have started to allot time in our schedule to share amongst ourselves meaningful and relaxing lunch time, while savoring and sharing delicious foods from one another's culture. We all have the opportunity to bring and talk a little more about our roots and memories of us making these foods. And in the end, we realize that somehow we share the same traditions, and only they are adjusted in each culture. For example, same recipes, different ingredients, different results, and delicious savors. So that's why now I love Mondays in the office. Thank you.
Yeah. I think also like kind of like the final thing to think about too is learning that we have to maybe create boundaries sometimes and make it okay for our self-care. My favorite saying is no is a sentence. We don't have to do everything a lot of times because we're always thinking about a lot of like time constraints on how we do our self-care. You know, sometimes saying no is okay. Understanding that, you know, sometimes we people please a lot, and that kind of comes in on our self-care. So a lot of times we have to learn how to create boundaries and have the language to be able to do that. And then understanding sometimes, are we working, are we people pleasing to kind of shut out other emotions that we might be feeling that might be hindering our self-care. So we have to start thinking about what exactly it is, like what is it looking at and everything. And then realizing that we also have to just allow ourselves to feel sometimes, like we want to numb out our emotions and stuff, and then realize we keep pushing it off, and then we might have something a little bit more serious than, you know, we're just feeling sad or something. We've pressed it down so much that we're, you know, making ourselves ill and stuff. So I think there are some of the parting things that I want to share.
Yeah, thank you, Melanie. So it's a good point. And I actually, when I, responded to what gets in the way of taking care of yourself, I put anxiety and mom guilt, because sometimes, I do feel like anxiety gets in the way, but what you're saying, Melanie, is just take it as an opportunity to feel, right? And self-care can be feeling that anxiety and letting us experiencing it, or it being a warning sign. Okay, we need to take care of ourselves. I need to put a boundary up. I need to go take this lunch break right now. Right. Sometimes it's easier said than done. But definitely some good points that you're making. All right. Well, thank you. Thank you all for, bringing up some really awesome ideas and points. It was great to hear all about your cultures. So we do have a couple questions in the Q&A, so we're going to transition. Some of the questions you probably answered a little bit, but I'm going to ask you guys if you have anything to add. So the first question is, what are the biggest challenges to self-care, right? So we did talk a lot about what gets in the way, but do you guys have anything to add on challenges to self-care?
For me, a challenge is during the week, can I tell no as an answer without guilty?
Yep. So saying no without guilt, right? Melanie Soshuba?
Saying no is the problem. These are like so many commonalities, right? In the culture, a lot of common things, and also what we are experiencing is also. So saying no is a big thing.
Yeah, I would have to agree. The no is extremely hard. I always have like the fear of missing out on things. Like I know, like it's like, oh, if I don't do this one extra trip with my family, are they going to be afraid that they're going to miss this out? Or, you know, having an extra thing for like a birthday party or something. So it's a lot of the, if I don't do this, what's going to happen? Like that kind of like fear. So I think that's what happens a lot. Is we're always afraid that if we don't do this one thing, something, you know, maybe catastrophic will happen or something, or someone's going to feel bad because they didn't experience it. So it's definitely that no for me.
Yeah, and I think these commonalities are really showing that we are not alone, right, in these feelings. And I know that's not me saying you're not alone, but you know, in all seriousness, we're not alone, right? We all can relate to each other in this, that we have trouble saying no. It's challenging for us sometimes. And we want to take care of our families, our clients, our program participants, our volunteers. We want to take care of everyone, but we need to take care of us too. Definitely. So another question that we have is what self-care could help with chronic sleep deprivation? So I am going to, start with saying that we are not doctors or psychiatrists. So we're not able to provide a professional opinion on this, but perhaps, if any of our coordinators can talk a little bit about, if you have heard anything about sleep deprivation and what has helped with sleep, that would be great.
Because it worked with me personally. This is just a personal opinion. I do reflexology, so I don't know if that can help, but that helped me a lot.
Can you talk a little bit about reflexology?
Reflexology is doing, they find your point with the meridian, and then it's kind of you feel kind of, because I live with anxiety. So, and at the end of the day, I finish my day with a lot of stress. So I have the same issue. So then I discovered that there are a professional doing the reflexology massage. There are most of them Chinese people, which I love them. And that helped me a lot because it's kind of just, they find a point in your body and then you feel totally relaxed. They call reflexology. Yeah, if the person wanted to find more information, that helped for me. That's what I'm sharing.
So we do a lot of different things at home. These are personal experiences because my son, because of his medications and other things also, he has tough time sometimes sleeping. And also for me, after the long day, overtired, so sometimes can't go to bed. So we do few things like tapping, just like Nelly said, the points. So you have all these points that you tap, and if you Google it, you will find it. Tapping is one thing we do. We do guided imagery together. And we use Headspace quite a bit for my son and me. They have like a sleep section. And other thing is warm milk with cardamom. That is something we use at home. That is something I learned about it from my parents and grandparents. So we try to continue that one. These are certain things that we do, which helps us go to bed sooner. Instead of 3 o'clock, 1 o'clock.
That's great. Thank you so much. And I did just put a link in the chat from our NAMI national website that talks a little bit about some sleep issues and, you know, a little education about it, talking about insomnia, cause and effect, treatment, right? So some of the stuff that's talked about is good sleeping habits, relaxation techniques, therapy, exercise. Those are some different things from NAMI's website that could be helpful for you. And I know for me, you know, I know you talked about Headspace, Suba, so also the Calm app, right? The Calm app is good. That sometimes helps. And like you say, and winding down at night sometimes can be really, really difficult. So being able to really take some deep breaths, disconnect from screens, helps me sometimes, sitting in silence. So stuff like that. So another question we have is, how can we help someone who tells us to stop pressuring them to take care of themselves? That's a good question, right? So resistance to taking care of themselves is the question.
How about finding their favorite activity and we start doing that in front of them? Maybe that will pull into that space, so they will start doing their favorite activity. So slowly we can get out of the picture and they will start practicing. They say for everything we need 21 days, right? So something like that.
So like modeling,
Yeah. Without putting the pressure, because sometimes when we keep on saying do, you start having the distance. So instead of putting the pressure, just modeling. Right word. Thank you.
Absolutely. Melanie or Nelly?
Yeah, I'm agree with Suba because we learn more that we are watching. That part is not telling me, in my case. Do it this, do it this, do it this, and do it this. And then if I see my mom is doing in this way, oh, I can do it the same way. So modeling, I'm agree with you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. I would agree. Like the modeling is a very good strategy. Sometimes I've learned from, you know, people in my support group and everything sometimes we have to pick our battles. Sometimes, unfortunately, if someone is not ready, they might not be ready to do it. And then, you know, when they're a little bit more, I guess, open to it, they might come around or something. So it's tough because we want everybody to take care of themselves and to have that self-care. But sometimes we have to pull back sometimes. So it depends on the situation and stuff like that. So yeah, we're kind of stuck between that sometimes.
Yeah, you make a good point. And I wonder if we can talk about also alternative words to self-care, because even the word self-care can be triggering, right? Like, especially, you know, through the past couple of years, it has been talked about a lot. It is really important, right? But when we're talking to our loved ones and they're feeling the pressure and resistance, you know, we can maybe come up with some other terms to, instead of self-care, it's go for a walk, right? We know it's self-care, but not using the term self-care may be helpful as well, because I have heard that a lot. Really just like naming different activities and, you know, not referring to it as self-care. Do you guys have anything to add to that? Suba?
Yeah, referring to it as something else that makes sense. And I love to play card games. So every night I have to play a card game. If my daughter is visiting, all of us will play, otherwise me and my husband. Even if it is 1 o'clock, I wake him up and say, can you please play game? Because that's kind of my closing of the day. So that's something, and it actually helps me. I'm like, okay, I won the game. I'm sleeping. What, I mean, something like that. So yeah, it helps me relax. So incorporating the whole family into it, maybe not just saying, oh, you should do something that's self-care. Let's go for a walk. So we are going as a family or friends, whatever the relationship is. That might actually be more useful too, right? We are having discussion and talking, so venting out the feelings, walking. And which country I forgot, I think in Japan, they have this bathing, nature bathing, not like literally going and taking bath in outdoors, no, but it's more like going into the nature and enjoying the nature 100%. So that is one of the biggest self-care activities there. So something like these are all like there around us, right? So maybe as a family or friends, they can do something. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Great. Great ideas. I love it. I love it. I hope everyone's questions were answered today. So we are going to wrap up our conversation, our lunchtime conversation. We hope you had something to eat while listening to some self-care strategies. And we thank you so much for attending our multicultural conversation. We will have more to come through this year. Please look out on our website or through our email list for more multicultural conversations. If you would like some more information about NAMI New Jersey's multicultural programs, you can visit our website at naminj.org. And you can see a little bit more about each program and what support and programs are offered through their program. So thank you all again, and we hope to see you soon.